That's why. You won't believe what I did. I kid you not, I had it pointing at a music stand. And I wasn't sure if I wasn't able to see myself, but you could see me. Can everybody hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? That's right. And how is everybody doing on this Friday? Looking forward to the weekend? All right. Well, I wanted to show you all how to play some drums today to Change Her Mind, which was our newest single that we released at the beginning of June. But I'm also down to hang and answer questions as well. So, nothing specific. We can just use the lesson as a launching pad to further discussions. And why don't we just start? So I'm just going to play Change Her Mind right now. I'll put it on and then I'll talk through some of the parts. So I'll stop and start a bit.
Sometimes I'm helpless. Sometimes that's all I can say. And still it feels like I'm a million miles away. Can you hear me?
Has everybody heard this song?
Sometimes I worry. Most times that's all I can do. And still you know that I will wait around for you to feel better. And all you ever say.
So I'm going to stop it right there for a second. So that takes us up to the first chorus. Now this song is the first of ours to start with a drum solo off of the top. And it wouldn't have been my idea. It would have been the rest of the band's idea. I don't think I would have suggested doing a drum solo. It's not my favorite part of drumming by any means. And I definitely would not have known what to do. So there would have been a lot of trial and error. And the other thing too is that the three guys in the band are great musicians, so they always have ideas for the drums. And we were also working with a band called Zeus from Toronto. Now they're a fantastic band that we've idolized forever, and they've got similar drum sounds to the ones that we were going for. And they're also affiliated with a drummer, Taylor Knox. It's one of my favorite drummers in the entire world. He's a Toronto guy, and he's also an amazing singer-songwriter. And I remember asking him about drum fills when we were recording our 2013 album, Hot Noise, with him. And he said he goes for it. He starts flailing his arms and kicking his feet. And it always works out to something amazing. So that's what I was looking for off the top of the song. So I was doing something like this. Now, when you speed it up, that's when the magic happens. So it's not a super complicated pattern, but once we get cooking on it, that's when it really comes to life. So we have something like this. And one thing I liked about doing this drum solo is that immediately it drops and we're into the verse. So we go from this really heavy, bombastic solo to Tom strumming the guitar and just singing quite quietly and gently. So the song is a constant build. We've got this energy, we bring it right back down, and then we're going to bring it into the chorus. So if you notice, once we start into the song, there's actually no drums at all. So I'm just going to back up a bit. We'll start from the top, and we've got the drum solo, then we're going to break it down, and then we're eventually going to bring it back up to this chorus. So there's no drums here.
Sometimes that's all.
Tom's just crooning as he does, and I'm gonna come in. We're gonna break down a bit. Some cymbal work. And we'll come back in. And I'll break down. So that takes us there. And I actually realized the drum solo that I just played, that I was demonstrating, was the one that we did when we did the song again during quarantine. We have one of those 4-square videos with special guests. So if you check it out, you'll see Devin Cuddy, Whitney Rose, Shad, Ferraro, Sam Pauly, Miriam, and a few more people. But once we get to this chorus, we're on cruise control here. It's meant to be a song that propels forward, but it never is chewed up by too much rhythm stuff happening. It's meant to just sit really nicely and let the vocal shine. So if you're just tuning in to Jane's party, really the magic is the 3 vocalists. My job is, for the most part, to stay out of the way and just let things sit really comfortably. Just let the vocal shine, let the other instruments have their place, and just build this really solid but comfy place where the other instruments can just sit. They don't have to worry about anything. Now, I remember there was a quote about Levon Helm, who's the drummer of the band, and it was one of the highest honors that was paid to him. And I forget who it was, but a musician said, Levon Helm is a drummer that you can turn your back on. And that really, to me, sums up what it means to be a great pop, rock, folk drummer, country drummer, a lot of different genres, where your role is really to serve the music. It's not to take the spotlight. It's to be there, it's to be energetic, it's to propel things forward, but it really is about just being in that supporting role. So now that I've spoken a bit about this, I'm just going to play along with the full song and then answer any questions. So here we go.
Sometimes I'm helpless. Sometimes that's all I can say. And still it feels like I'm a million miles away. Can you hear me? Sometimes I worry. Most times that's all I can do. And still you know that you
That's Change Her Mind by Jane's Party. This is this has to be the sweatiest I've been in a long time performing. We were slated to perform a lot this year, so we were going to be touring around Europe and South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. So we're hoping that happens in 2021. But I have to say, I'm breathing heavily right now, and I only played one song, so I have to get back into tour shape, and I'm glad you've joined in because I'm working really hard right now. Does anybody have any questions about drumming? Is there any drummers on the chat right now? One thing I can talk a lot about is just the rhythm that's happening during the song. So one thing you're hearing a lot is this boom, but boom, boom, but boom, boom, but boom, boom, but boom, boom. So that's really going throughout the entire song. That's one thing that's anchoring everybody together. So to get that drum beat going, I'm doing that on the bass drum. So I'm going to go boom, but boom, boom, but boom, boom, but boom, 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 boom. Now I'll add a groove to that. So I've got the hi-hat going. And I'll get the snare drum going on 2 and 4. Boom, 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 boom. So that really anchors this together. Now, to add a little more rhythmic interest, we're throwing in some little subtleties on the snare drum. I'm also throwing in a bunch of different fills. So I'll just play for a couple minutes and let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to start grooving and then doing some drum fills. Now, one thing we've also got going is at the end there, you'll hear that there's the groove changes. So we go from something that's cruising along. So say I'm on the ride, cymbal here. Something you'll hear the Beatles do a lot, and very common in rock and pop music. It's a quarter note groove. So we're really switching that feel from the cruise control to the rev up the engine. Now we're full speed ahead. All over the cymbals as well. Drumming is the best workout of any instrument. It really is. I mean, it you know, especially during these times where we're stuck at home a little more. It's just a great instrument to take up, and it really does challenge you on all different levels, coordination and just keeping your energy levels high. And when you're playing a concert, I mean, sometimes you're performing for 90 minutes, or you know, Bruce Springsteen performs for 3-4 hours, and I never feel bad for Bruce. I feel bad for his drummer Max Weinberg, because it's it's unbelievable the amount of work that he's putting into that concert. Now, in terms of just playing drums and figuring out drum beats and all that sort of stuff, in Jane's party, it always starts with the music first. And funny enough, I'm often the last person to actually play around with the drums. So what will happen is I get a demo from somebody and there's already drums in there. And we've all got home studios. And all the guys can play drums too. They can sit down and they can play, and they're just great musicians like that. So we're always putting everything through a filter, and it's never just me coming up with a drum pattern and deciding this is how it's going to be. It always gets there, and then once we're in the studio, that's when we really start to add the flair. We start to add in how we want it to sound. Little hits, making sure everything's just lining up with all the instruments and in the way that we want to. And that's also something that's great about working with producers. And we've worked with a lot of producers over the years. And every producer has a very different take on the drums. And I remember being in the studio recording Change Her Mind at Pine Ship Studio in Toronto, and Carlin, one of the producers, he sort of looked at me and he said, it needs a little more like... And even though he wasn't super specific about what that meant, I knew what he meant. It needed a little more, instead of just being like... It needed a little more swagger. It needed something that made it feel good, that really pushed it forward without being too in the way. And one way we achieved that was with these little snare drum hits. So here's just the main beat. But listen to this. Any aspiring drummers out there, give a thumbs up. If you're looking to play drums or looking to play another instrument, or any musicians already out there. it's actually scary to think that it's actually scary to think that that's not Ringo Starr playing at the end of Dear Prudence. That's Paul McCartney, and I think it goes to show you just how talented every individual member of that band really is. That, you know, Ringo's, I don't know what happened in the studio that day, but they just throw Paul in there, and look what he comes up with. All right, well, I think I'm going to play through Change Your Mind one more time, and then I'll answer any questions if there's any floating in the comments. And if not, I just wish everybody a great weekend, and hope everyone's staying safe and healthy and happy. And yeah, let me know if there's any questions.
Sometimes I'm helpless. Sometimes that's all I can say, and still it feels like I'm a million miles away. Can you hear me? Sometimes I worry. Most times that's all I can do, and still you know that I will wait around for you to feel better. And all you ever say, oh my love, is to be clear. It's like we could butterflies just go dip in the years. And she's been holding you for something better, holding you to what she's left behind. Never had the heart to tell her, just holding you for something to change her mind. Sometimes I'm honest, most times that's all I can do. And you get so silly, like some drama on TV. And you know it. And all you ever say is, oh my love, wish that this could be clearer. It's like we could butterflies just go dip in the years. And she's been holding you for something better, holding you to what she's left behind. Never had the heart to tell her, just holding you for something to change her mind. And she's been holding you for something better, holding you to what she's left behind. Never had the heart to tell her, just holding you for something to change her mind.
All right. Nickel joined just in time. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that. And I'm wishing everybody a healthy and happy weekend, and hopefully we'll see you all at the venues soon. But until then, we'll be around, and we'll be teaching some lessons online and answering any questions, and pushing forward with some new music soon too. So really, really looking forward to getting that all out there. And yeah, have a great weekend, and we'll see you all soon.